What's up? Repeat after me. A bottom never feels like a bottom. So, very unpopular opinion, but I think that the crypto bottom is in. Let me show you why I think that the crypto bottom is in. For the people that haven't seen it, my Bitcoin price prediction, really quick. And I want to show you some altcoins that you might feel like, ooh, if it goes back to its all-time high, I make this and this X. You might be wrong about that. You might be kind of wrong about that. So let me explain a little bit why I say that. This is the Bitcoin chart. This is not the Bitcoin chart. This is the Falcon Forged chart. I will get back to that in a second. This is the Bitcoin chart. And first, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Welcome to the Fomo Factory. Happy Friday, I think it is. I don't know. I'm shooting this video a little on forehand. So if we now take a look at the Bitcoin chart, prices are different than what you see right now, than what it is for you, right? Doesn't matter. I'm talking about the bigger picture right here. All right, so it is not about how it's looking right now. And don't mind this chart. This chart is not looking, now it's looking good. So what I wanted to talk about when it comes to the Bitcoin bottom, a lot of people, especially on Twitter, they expect the Bitcoin bottom to be 10K. 6K, 3K, like, oh, okay. Why do people expect that? Well, macro, right? Macro. And people be calling for Ethereum to go down to like $700 and all that. Okay, let me take some very unpopular opinions out of the way. A $700 Ethereum, like there's this guy on Twitter, Crypto Capo, some guys may follow him. No, no. Like, I don't know, by the way, but I'm willing to admit that I don't know. But I think he's completely wrong about that. Why? Because everybody expects that. And when everybody thinks something is going to happen, that's usually not what the market does, right? Also, let me put it like this. We have the macro, the macro, how bad it is, whatever. It is what it is right now, right? So there's nothing we can do about that. Everything that we know now is what we see in the charts now. That's it, right? If it's super bad, that's why the prices came down, right? If it's now going to be better, then the prices go up. If it's going to get worse, the prices are going to get down. But at some point, we already kind of know, like everything we know is priced in. So the market hates that uncertainty, right? That's what the market doesn't like. So the market can come down because of the news that may come, what we don't know yet, right? So if everybody is saying it's going to get worse, all right. But if it's going to get worse than that, that's what drives the market down, right? And we don't know if that's going to happen yet. So that's basically it. And also, when it comes to Bitcoin, like I talked about it before, but we came down, we bottomed here for now, and we went back up. And people be like, it just doesn't feel like a bottom. Then you know that's the bottom, right? That's basically what your mind state about that. And to show you why it doesn't really matter, I want to show you the bigger picture of Bitcoin, because if you know, or if you expect where Bitcoin might go, then does it matter if you buy at 17K or 15K or 20K? Oh, come on, man. No. No. Don't wreck yourself. Please, guys, don't wreck yourself, right? Because if you wait for that, and it will never happen, and let's say Bitcoin now runs to, like, we had a relief rally right here, right? So we went here from 17.5 to 20.5. We went up 40%. Let's say it goes up another 40% from here, which is definitely possible, of course. Bitcoin will be sitting around 30K, right? Let's say people feel like, yeah, but it's going lower. This is a relief rally. I'm not buying here. But what if Bitcoin does decide to do that and it doesn't get there, right? Maybe it has a retest somewhere and it goes further up. Then what you gonna do? Are you not gonna buy? Ever? Like, you're gonna wait for the next bear market? Like, okay, success, like 4 years of waiting? Or are you going to buy the next best retest again? Like, okay, you could have bought just here, right? But instead you buy here because you think you could have bought here. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. If you dollar cost slowly in this area, like if you dollar cost, it's okay because you buy at least here, right? If it goes here, great, you buy here as well. If it doesn't go there, you buy here, for example, but then this is around your average, right? That's okay. If that's your average, then it's cool, right? But if you just wait because you think this is going to happen and this never happens, then you only have your entry here, right? Unless you are a very good trader and you can exactly catch that retest. But I think the good traders are, they know that, you can't wait all out of the market for this to happen, right? Because there's no certainty that that will happen. My Bitcoin price prediction, I don't know on what screen I have it exactly. I lost my chart, I think. That's stupid. Anyway, my Bitcoin price prediction, really quick. I talked about this a lot of times. It's at least $200,000, maybe 450, and that's like the bearish until the realistic scenario. There's also a good case scenario, but I don't want to get my hopes up. I just want to be like, okay, I see a lot of people when I saw some polls on Twitter where people ask their audience, like, where do you think Bitcoin goes up in the next cycle? And people were like 60K, 80K, 70K, maybe 100K. And I'd be like, why are you so bearish? Why would the next cycle be so much worse than the previous cycles? Because once Bitcoin hits that bull market again, then the macro is solved, right? So the macro is not standing in the way. So why, like, now more institutions stepping in, more people believing in Bitcoin, people are not panic selling that much again like they used to. Like, what would be the reason why it's that much worse instead of better, right? So I'm gonna just go with neutral, and then we'll put it around, 400K, so let's say 300K. Why do I say that? For the people that are new to the channel, well, it's very simple. Basically, I checked this out. Let me see where I have my chart that shows that. Do I really don't I have my chart anymore? Sorry for wasting your time. That's the downside of not editing these videos, I guess. Okay, one more try. Maybe it's here. It's so stupid. All right, so no, it's not here. Okay, well, whatever. Why do I think, oh, here we go. This is not the right one. Well, whatever. Why do I think that Bitcoin is going to go there? Right, all the way there. Right. Well, what I just basically calculated was once we are at the bottom of a cycle. So let's say, look at this right here. In the past, in 2011, right, we had a run up. And we had a bear market, and this was the bottom, right? $2. So I calculated that the bottom of cycle 1, basically, to the top of cycle 2. Then we went to the bottom again, which was here, and then I calculated it back to the top of the next cycle, well, and so on, and so on, and so on. The average amount of X's that Bitcoin does, so the ROI, the average return of investment, is a 60x, right? That's the average that Bitcoin does every cycle. And you might argue like, okay, but there's more money coming into Bitcoin and it's getting there, it's getting less liquid or more liquid. So there, the price movements are not that high again. Well, not the previous cycle, but the cycle before that was one of our biggest cycles. And the worst cycle was one of the first cycles. So it's not necessarily the case, right? So if you do a 60x on average, right? And let's say that, and this is bearish as hell, right? Let's say that the bottom isn't in. And we're not going to like 16K or to 13, 14K, but we indeed for some reason go all the way to 10K. And Bitcoin then just makes its average move again. What's 16 times 10,000? That's $600,000, right? So that's a very bearish starting point, and it will take us to 600K. All right, let's say Bitcoin does first, like what I said, like a very bearish move to the downside, all the way to 10K, which again, I don't expect to happen, but okay. and then performs twice as bad as average. So that's a 30x. Then it still goes all the way to $300,000. So these are already two very bearish scenarios combined. Right? So that way I was just calculating like, okay, so let's say this happens, let's say that happens. And the really worst case ever is that Bitcoin first goes to 10K and then has its worst cycle, that it performs twice as bad as the worst cycle we had. So it doesn't go times 20, but it goes times 10. Then we will end up at 100K. So if you make your price prediction for Bitcoin in the next cycle and you put it in at $100,000, you're basically saying like, okay, first all shit has to break loose and all hell has to break loose, and there's going to happen something in the world what we don't know that is maybe going to happen yet, and the markets are completely going to tank after Bitcoin all like bottom indicators basically already went off, and like we get more bottom signals every time, and after that for some reason Bitcoin does twice as bad as the worst cycle it ever had. And again, like, why would it perform so much worse in a bull market, like when the macro has better? Why? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So that's like really unlikely to me. So, but even in that unlikely scenario, Bitcoin goes to $100,000. So that's my ultimate bearish target for Bitcoin. If that happens, I will be completely shocked. But we can also put it like this. What if, which is in my opinion more likely, that $17,500 was the bottom, right? So let's round it up to $17,000. Let's say that was the bottom, right? And let's say Bitcoin does the same as average, right? It doesn't do any better, doesn't do any worse, just average. So we have 17, 1, 2, 3 times 60. That would put Bitcoin at $1 million. I find $1 million a lot more realistic, if we put it like this, than $100,000, right? But that's average. Like, you don't want to get your hopes up, and it could do better than average. Like Bitcoin did 130x as well. So, you know, if Bitcoin has, like, again, its best run, it will get to more than $2 million. And this happened twice out of the 5 times. So that's not even that crazy. But I already know, like, people be like, Bitcoin 2 million, you're crazy. Like, yeah, but like, again, it did, like, out of the 5 times, it did 130x twice, right? And if people were talking in the deepest of that bear market, like, yeah, but it's going to do 130x, people would have thought you were crazy as well. Well, guess what? It happened twice, right? Why won't it happen 3 times? There's not really a logical reason for me to believe that it's not possible to happen again. So I won't even be surprised if Bitcoin will hit $2 million in the next cycle. And yeah, I know there has to get a lot of money in crypto. But you also must not forget how mainstream crypto is getting, right? We're now in a bear market, so we don't see anything. But really big companies are stepping in, and things are really... If it's going to get to be the world reserve currency, then here we go. All right. But this is average, right? So, I mean, this is average. That $1 million, this would be an average move, right? Let's say it does the same. Let's say $17,000 was the bottom, and it does exactly the same as the worst cycle it had so far. So that's a 20% chance, right? That this happens, and the other 80% is that it goes higher. But let's say that happens, so it just does a 17x. That would put Bitcoin at around $300,000. All right, so that's if 70K was the bottom, and that Bitcoin does again its worst cycle after that so far. That's like still bearish, but it will put Bitcoin at around 300K, right? So that's the perspective I would like you guys to have. And it's hard, again, to hear this in a bear market. Like people, we are now, you know, hovering around that 20K, and people don't want to hear that. They be like, yeah, man, let's first see if we can break 22. Like, yeah, that, of course, people give up hope in every bear market. But zoom out and watch these previous bear markets again. What was the best buying opportunity? You don't want to be like, oh shit, it indeed went all the way here. Maybe I should buy. Like, no. If you believe in crypto, you have to believe in crypto right now. Now is the time you are getting tested. And all the time so far, people got tested, people got rewarded for it, right? I mean, here, Bitcoin bottomed at around $160 in this cycle, right? And what did it do after? Well, it went up to 20K. So if we take this and we go from around $70, that's how far my mouse can take it, and we go to that 110,000%, right? So that's 110x. Right, so when back in this period, when we were sitting at $160 for one Bitcoin, can you imagine? And people would have told you like, okay, but if you hang on for like maybe 2 years or so, you can sell your one Bitcoin for $160. You can sell it for $20,000. It's insane. Nobody would have believed it. And this happened again before here as well, and that was 130x. Right? This 110x, right? People would never believed you. If I were on YouTube back then saying that, everybody would say to me like, crazy, you're crazy, bro. Well, 110x, it's exactly the same as I'm saying right now, that Bitcoin could go to 2 million. There is literally no difference, right? So I want you to have that perspective. Why do I want you to have the perspective? Because then the bottom doesn't really fucking matter, right? We are in this sideways market right now for quite a while. If we put it on the daily, you can see that it's basically going sideways, like top of the range, 26K give or take, down range, like 17 and a half, right? We are hovering in this. There is not, like, it's finally stabilized, right? Sorry, buy in this area, I would say. Like, I'm dollar costing. So if it goes down, cool, I'm dollar cost more. If it goes up, cool, I already got my position. It's all okay. And then once it gets there, you know, the people that don't believe this, these are the people that have to, you know, face the reality once it happens and won't be able to get rewarded as we are, right? So that's just what I wanted to say about Bitcoin. But that's for Bitcoin. That's like what Bitcoin does. You know, if Bitcoin makes big moves, what altcoins do. And that's where it gets interesting for me, right? And let me tell you this, because this is really important. The best altcoin projects are being built in the bear market, right? The best altcoin projects are being built in the bear market. So if you see a very good project right now that you just feel like, yeah, but it's just not working. Okay, try to remember this. Because if we look at this, for example, Bitcoin really had its run from September 2020, give or take, right? If we look at the altcoin market, what did it do back then? Let me go, September 2020. Here we go. So that was here, right? Was this period. The altcoin market was flat, right? So you can already kind of see that if Bitcoin starts to run and altcoins don't run with it yet, you don't be like, shit, I'm in the wrong altcoins. No. Because altcoins usually have a slight delay, right? Because here in September 2020, the Bitcoin dominance probably went up quite a lot. Let me go back to September 2020. Where's that? Let me take a look. September 2020 here. So this is what happens here, September 2020. So Bitcoin had an amazing run, but because the altcoin of the Bitcoin dominance also went up quite a lot, like almost 20%. You know, altcoins basically stayed flat. But then it was interesting because January 2021. Let's go to January 2021. What did Bitcoin do? In January 2021, Bitcoin was still going up, right? So Bitcoin was still going up, right? So more money into Bitcoin. But if you look at the Bitcoin dominance back then, that's really interesting because look at this, guys. January 2021. That's here, right? What happened right here? Bitcoin dominance peaked and it went down, and it went down a lot, right? From January up till May 2021. More money flowing into Bitcoin, but more or less, like the Bitcoin price, it grew, but people were taking their money out of that Bitcoin, right? You can see it right here. It came down quite, this was really a tank, right? So what happened right here? January until April 2021. Well, look at this. January, here we go, till April 2021, even May. This is the altcoin market. It had an explosion, right? So there was our famous altcoin season, right? It was absolutely crazy. If you were in altcoins here, sick. So, and you could make double money with this, right? Because if you buy your Bitcoin right here, if you bought your Bitcoin right here, this is why Bitcoin had that insane run, right? So you put your dollars into Bitcoin. Bitcoin does I don't know how many X, you make a lot of money. And then here, if you decided to take that money out of your Bitcoin and put it into altcoins, Bitcoin doesn't even have to go up that much. You make another how much X, I don't know, with your altcoins. So it's not that if you, if in the next bull run, you be like, okay, let's say Bitcoin goes up 10X, like, it's not that you can just make a 10x. If you play this market right, yeah, you can make a 10x on your Bitcoin and then take it into your altcoins and make another 10x or more on that. So that's very easy, 100x that you can make if you play this market right. And that's what you need, because altcoins are not that bright as you might think they are. Why do I say that? Well, to be a little bearish right here, let's go to my crypto gaming portfolio, for example, and let's take a look at, I don't know, Superfarm. Just an example, Superfarm. I don't even know if this is a good example, but Superfarm. Here is where we are right now, sitting at around this price, right? You would say if we go back to the all-time high, it's around a 33x, right? Because that's what the price got to do to go back to the all-time high. So if Superfarm goes back to its all-time high, do you make a 33x? Well, let's take a look at this. And I hope this is the right example. Otherwise, I'm really not making a point right now. Let me take a look. All right, market cap max, right? So Superfarm now has, well, it's not the best example, but it's still a good example. The market cap now is $40 million, and its all-time high market cap was 580 million. So 580 divided by 40. That's a 14x. That's not a 33x, right? How come? Well, because in the meantime, more tokens hit the market, right? So, and with some projects, this is really extreme. So watch out for that. Don't just stare at the price. Don't look at prices too much. Look at market caps. And therefore, you also, with some altcoins, don't want to buy them too soon. Because with a lot of these projects, you might be like, oh, I'm buying it. And yeah, it comes down and that's bad. But once the bull market comes, these prices will go back to their all-time high. No, the market cap will probably go back to the all-time high. But it could definitely mean that the price are way far from their all-time high. I lately made a video and I was saying something about Monkey Ball. MBS, sorry. Because this project as well, if you look at the price of this project right here, right? You look at Monkey Ball and you'll be like, oh, 250 and it's now 14 cents, right? So 250 divided by 0.14. So you would say that if it goes back to its all-time high, it does a let's say 18x, right? So, you know, you could have bought it here and wait, and if it goes back, then you made a 17x. It's not how it works. If we look at market cap right here, and the market cap was a little higher here, but not that crazy, right? It's now just sitting like the all-time high market cap, what CoinGecko shows at least, is 20 million, right? It's now sitting at 12 million. So it's not even 2x from its all-time high right now. Not even. So if this thing goes back to its all-time high, and you put $100 in right now, you have maybe $180. Not your 17x that we just saw, right? And that's going to be way worse because look at this, for example, what is specifically with this project, but total supply, 1 billion, circulating 80 million, right? So this has like 12 times less things to go. So I wouldn't touch this, right? Unless, you know, you want to take a look at the white paper of the specific project, because if all these tokens are getting vested through staking, for example, then it doesn't matter, because then you're growing your bag as well, right? So yeah, of course, you have a lower price, but you have more tokens. So at the end of the day, you play even, right? But you do not want to buy these tokens, hold them just somewhere in your wallet, hoping for them to go back to the all-time high, because most of these projects won't. Yeah. So that's just what I wanted to show you. Also, I want to show you this, and I cannot find that tweet. I don't have that tweet prepared, but there was a guy on Twitter, and he said something like, I want to show you something, and he said kind of the same, but he made a very weird ass conclusion out of it. So let's go to the 2017 all-time high, which was in, I don't know, December, somewhere like that. So if we look at the top, this is not the perfect place to be. Let me take a look when the exact top was in 2017, because I want to show you something pretty interesting. I don't want you to get wrecked, of course. So here we go. Was it slightly more in 2018? 17 December 2017. 24 December. Well, it doesn't really matter though. December, well, whatever, somewhere like this. Yeah, this is better. All right. So this is how the crypto market looked like in December 2017 at the peak, right? This was at the best of the bull market, and this is quite cool because on high caps, look what these high caps did, right? XRP did a 200% in a week. Cardano did 360% in a week. These are high caps. Like if you went to the low caps, the good quality projects, some were completely crazy. Do I have some good examples right here? No, not really. Fuck it. But some were going pretty crazy, right? But this is what the top 20 looked like in 2017. We had Bitcoin, Ethereum. Is Bitcoin Cash still there? No. Is Litecoin still there? No. Is IOTA still there? No. Dash? No. NEM? No. Monero? No. Bitcoin Gold? No. Steril? No. EOS? No. NEO? No. Ethereum Classic? No. Tron? I don't think so. I'm not completely sure. Quantum? No. BitConnect? Hell no. Populous? What is Populous? Go. Like all these things that were booming back then, they are nowhere to be found right here, right? That says a couple of things, like, and what's your conclusion? Because the guy on Twitter, I'm not even going to mention his name because I think he's such a moron, but his conclusion was, don't buy anything in the top 20. That was his very flat conclusion. That was literally what he said. Don't buy anything in the top 20. Well, I highly disagree on that, because I don't think you should not buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. And like that's what we all know. These are the blue chips. Like if you why wouldn't you buy Bitcoin? Like come on. But personally, I don't think like BNB is going anywhere. I don't think Polygon or DOT is going anywhere. But these are debatable, right? But the point that he was trying to make is not everything that's now in the top 20 will stay in the top 20. That goes for the top 10, also kind of goes for the top 100, but the next bull run, this page will look completely different. I won't be surprised if Bitcoin or if Ethereum be number one, but you know, this page will look completely different. Maybe BUSD is not the biggest stable coin, or the USDT is not the biggest stable coin anymore, right? Maybe there's a new stable coin then. Maybe there are new L1s, like these projects that are going to be completely crazy are being built right now. Like Solana, for example, is now in the top 10. Back in 2017, we didn't have Solana, right? So nobody expected that as well, right? They weren't paying attention, most people, to the new projects being built. They were just like, oh my God, Dash. It has a market cap of $8 billion right now. That was in that bull run. Let's take a look at where Dash is right now. Dash has now a market cap of $400 million, right? Went down 20x, right? So that's just what I wanted to show you. Like, be a little careful. I think now, however, the turning point of this argument is back in 2017. What are these projects? Like, is Bitcoin Cash really needed? Did we need Bitcoin Cash? What, like Dash? Bitcoin Gold, Neo. Like, are these projects really there to stay? Now we know a little better. If we now look at the top 10, we know, like, okay, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, cool, but BNB. Is BNB there to stay? Well, BNB is the native token of the biggest exchange and the biggest, second biggest blockchain there. It has so much utilities. Like, how big is the chance that that's going away? Like, Dogecoin, like, utility-wise, but it has the biggest community. It has a lot of hype, so that might stay. Solana, Matic, like, ask yourself, like, and for example, Shiba Inu. Is Shiba Inu there to really stay? Like, is it going to survive this bear market? Like, will it have that much utility? Does it have that much hype that it's really here still in the next bull run? Like, ask yourself for all of these projects. And I think for Uniswap goes the same. Like, Ethereum is the biggest, like, layer one. I think it will stay that way. That needs a DEX, right? So I think Uniswap will do well. Right? But look at that kind of stuff, right? If we look at Uniswap, for example, to get back to my previous point, price $7. It came from $42, right? So if we divide that, then Uniswap has to do a 6x to go back to its all-time high, right? And we're talking about going back to all-time highs, not even surpassing it, right? And that's with a lot of projects, they will do that as well. Right, let's take a look at the market cap for Ethereum, for Uniswap. Is that the same? Well, let's take a look. It's now sitting at 5 billion to round it up, and at the high it was around 20 billion, right? So there it doesn't have to do a 6x, but a 4x, right? So Uniswap isn't 6x from its all-time high. It's 4x from its all-time high because more tokens have to hit the market, right? So if you buy these tokens right now, take a good look at this. Like, what is the market cap and what is the fully diluted market cap? Or basically the same, but what's the circulating supply and the max supply? You can also do this by going to the historical data and see, like, how fast is this going, right? Because if we take a look now at the market cap for Dogecoin, for example, there's a circulating supply of 130 billion Dogecoin, right? What was it 3 years ago? Well, if we look at Dogecoin back then, where was Dogecoin? I think Dogecoin was pretty much here. Let me see here. There was a circulating supply of 110 billion Dogecoin. So that's what, 8% more supply, but that's in 4 years, right? 5 years. So that's not growing that fast. So everybody might be like, okay, it's not a good coin because it has an unlimited supply and all that. But thank you for the foodies. But it's not growing that fast. So if you feel like, okay, that's the speed that it has in 5 years time, then I'd be like, okay, don't be too judgmental about the fact that something has an unlimited supply or anything like that. Look a little beyond the stuff that you see. That's what I wanted to show you. That's also why I want to wrap it up. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I hope you find this content very valuable. I just want to make it all together in the bear market so we can have like a nice time in the next bull run. Guys, thanks for watching. Like the video, by the way. Don't forget to give it a little like, man. Small effort would help me so much. I would really appreciate that. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.